Sunday the 13th of August and we're on the FTSE 100. Okay, so let's have a quick recap of this market from last week in relation to our Sunday analysis, and then we'll have a look at the market for the trading week ahead. Okay, so what we went over last week was that we had basically steps on this market. We had different levels of support and resistance. And we went over how, if we broke up above one, we could expect a move up into the next one, and how we could look at these levels for potential resistance. So coming into last week, we basically broke up above this level of resistance. We tried to press higher on the Monday. We didn't quite get there. Monday was actually a very, very flat day. There was not much happening at all in the markets. And then on the Tuesday, we popped up into that key level of resistance. And that is when we started to see the rejection coming into the FTSE 100. Now, the sell-off, we're definitely not expecting a sell-off coming in of this magnitude. Certainly not all at once. But basically, it's mostly to do with fears on the back of everything that's going on right now with America and North Korea / South Korea. So we had a very, very strong move down on the FTSE, but it came from one of our key levels of resistance. And basically we had the nice pop up after the Monday trading. Coming into Tuesday, we popped up, had nice resistance, and then it's absolutely plummeted all the way back down toward 7290. So coming into next week, well, the first thing is we have a very important level of support. It is this section of price action right here. We've actually already had a nice bounce off of this level on Friday, I believe it was. This level moving forward now is important. Whilst up above here, it continues to be potential good support, and we can look for those buy positions. Now, if we start to break down below these levels, then what it is suggesting is a couple of different things. So last week, in fact, I think for the last couple of weeks, we were looking at the potential for this market to be setting up into a double top. Now, this was the previous high that we were looking at, and we were looking at potentially this being a double top. What we have subsequently done is we have rallied up further, and then the sellers have started to come in. We've came down very, very strongly. So although these levels at around about 7290 to 7315, although these are key levels of support, and if we break down below, even without this double top, I would be looking for that move down. It's also the center of the double top, so the central pivot. When you break below the central pivot of the double top, lots of sellers look to step in, basically trading the double top pattern. Lots and lots of traders use the break of this level as their entry point. Now, if we do break below, any sort of returns up, good to look for resistance and that stronger move down. Now, really, expectations now, longer term, expectations are going to be down toward around about 7,200. Does not mean if we break below here, it will just collapse down to those levels. And slightly longer term, we may get lots of chop if we get below those levels, but longer term, I would expect the market to come down into those 7,200 levels. We also have a good level of support at 7,225, down to around about 7,220. So this section down here, if we break below this section, this would be the next main section I would be looking at for potential support levels. Now, we do have a midpoint sitting right here. We are identifying this by looking left, looking at market structure. The three previous tests. Then as the market tries to break up, it finds resistance at these levels, falls away, it comes back up. We see the market testing at the level, rejecting off of the level, and then we start to break through. So it's giving us clues that potentially this is a good level of support and resistance. Now, one of the ways to use it would potentially be, let's say we break down. Sorry, I've deleted the wrong line there. Let's say we break down below this level. The market drops down. We could look for those potential bullish bounces back up into this level of resistance for the continuation. If we just come down and break through, pullbacks would also make this level good for those potential resistance, and then continuation of the bearish movement. Now, looking at this price action also from last week, we have had an enormous move down with really no pullback whatsoever. The market has just, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and 4 days, it has just fallen off of a cliff. So there's a good possibility next week that we will see some sort of retracement. And really retracing, we want to start looking at the key levels that we have been using multiple times now. In fact, you could actually raise this up. I'm just going to bring this up a little bit into these levels, around about 7,400, down toward 7,375. Again, we're looking left. We're using these levels of structure to give us clues. And then down below, we have another one, around about 7,360, down to 7,340. So if we see at the start of next week, the market beginning to give us those bullish movements, again, this is a key level of support, then we could begin to look for potential continuation of the bearish movements from these levels. It's unlikely that we will just see it falling off of continuing to fall off of a cliff. I mean, we have already had such a strong movement. It's likely we will see some sort of a bounce. Now let's just get rid of these arrows for a second, and we'll have a look at this movement down. So we started all the way up here around about 7,555. We've came down to that central pivot level of the double top. 23.6 lining up very nicely, as is the 38.2 at both of these levels. Just giving a little bit more weight for potential continuation if we do see the retracements. And really, that is everything that I'm looking at for the FTSE 100 going into next week. Really, the main thing is this level right here. This is a key level moving forward now. And I'm basically watching to see if the market holds up above this level or if we start to break down below. If we start to break down below, there's a stronger correction, very likely coming into the FTSE 100. Okay guys, so that's everything for this week. As always, I hope that was helpful. I hope you all have a great trading week next week. I'm James Orr, and thank you.